Hey, y'all. Hey, we're so glad that you're here with us today on our live radio broadcast. I'm Ann from Andale Homestead.
And I'm Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Y'all, this is Casey over at Ormsby Farms. And as you can tell, our fourth musketeer is out today. She's with her family, having
Yes.
some dental time with the kids. So that's always never fun. But we're excited because we are talking about herbs, what to do with all the herbs. And we had a fabulous episode come out Monday with some wonderfully great people. John and Sarah from Two Doves, Bees and Gardens are back. We forced them to come back and join us one more time. And I'm going to bring them up now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you, Jay.
So,
Good.
y'all, as we are going through, we're going to pull up and say hello to everybody in the chats. If I look dazed and confused today, it is because I am dazed and confused. I'm pulling Monica's job today and doing comments. So I will be a talkless face pretty much. But Miss Ann, let's say hello to some people in the chat.
That would be fantastic. And hey, the wolf that could. Hey, peeps, glad you guys do this show. Jennifer Ocean Homestead. And we're glad you're here. Butler Family Farm. Hello, Jerry. Robin Murphy. We're so glad you're here. Thank you. Troy Sutton. All right. That's wonderful to see you. Tamara. Ellen L. Homestead. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good morning, Cheryl. It's afternoon here now. It's morning in a lot of part of the area. Hey, Ginger, not for nothing, Homestead. Ginger's going to help you on some of those links today, too.
And I'm so grateful for Ginger. I'm so grateful.
Hey, Ann Francisco, you tell them folks in your office we all said how do. Hey, rambling with the brooms, that's Scott, the three crazies. Yeah, John and Sarah better look out because we are a little nuts. We get off the wall prepper. Good afternoon. Hey, Jake Hudson, liked and shared. We love to see that. Indiana Backyard Gardener. Hi, Adrienne. B&S Odyssey says, hey, peeps. Karen, thank you for being here, honey. What a wonderful group of folks to be here today. And we have Urban American Homestead. And
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
we are a hot mess. And Scott can drop links as well, at least in my chat. We do have several different channels co-streaming at the same time today. We have Ormsby Farms. We have Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. We have John and Sarah from Two Doves, Bees and Garden. And they're all on YouTube. And we also have Round the Hay Bale on here, which, by the way, y'all, if you go over to Round the Hay Bale and you subscribe, and we get 500 subscribers, we're going to have a big old giveaway. Yes, we are. We're going to have a big old giveaway on there.
Did we talk about our giveaway, Sandy? I think we may need.
Should.
I think we should, especially since our wonderful friend Ginger is in the chat.
Yeah.
So we sent Ginger, since she has been dropping links for us and just been wonderful for us and keeping us on track, really. We sent her one of our new cups.
Oh, look at that.
And
Isn't it the cutest?
That's
we're going to
pretty
be
sweet.
giving some of these away when we get 500 subscribers. So make sure that afterwards or right now, you can do more than one thing at a time. Go over and subscribe to Round the Hay Bale too.
And Scott says, hey, special note, I was the first hay bale mod. I keep from rambling with the brooms.
He was. You know, actually, it was season one. He did our season one mods back in the day.
And Kayla Duckett is here. But what we are here about, thank you all, everyone, for being here. We certainly appreciate you all. And we're joining together. We also have Sandy with the Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona Facebook page on here. And we try really hard to keep our programs to around 30 minutes, just so that you know, so you can prepare. So John and Sarah, it's about herbs today, right?
Yeah, it is. Man, I tell you, have you guys seen the heat wave? It's been crazy here. And the garden for sure is not, it's taking a little bit of a hit, including the herbs, but
Yes.
You know what? One of our favorite herbs, the basil, is loving the heat.
Really?
Yeah, I noticed Monica and on the podcast was talking about the lemon basil tea. That is such a good, refreshing drink for the summer, and it's so easy to make. And there's lots of videos. We have a video on our channel on how we make it with a low-cal stevia. So it's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, that Monica was raving about that. For those that were listening to the podcast, she was raving about Sarah's basil, lemon basil, right? It was the lemon basil, lemon basil tea.
You can make it with any kind of basil, but the lemon basil is my favorite.
Let me ask you guys a question. In Arizona, my basil is a perennial. I mean, the stalks are probably as big as a quarter.
Wow.
But what about you guys in your parts? Because you guys are in the South. What about you guys?
No, it's definitely an annual.
Yeah, we get cold enough in the winter that it kills off the basil. The heat, that loves the heat, but the cold it just doesn't make it through. But we did have some volunteers that came back.
Yep.
So
it'll reseed easily enough.
Oh, that's awesome. Ours continuously comes back each spring. It does die off during the winter here in North Carolina, but not totally. And then, because I bought lemon basil before I knew what lemon basil was about, I bought it because it looked pretty. And so I put it in batches in my flower garden because the color was so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And well.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things. The basil, the basils do so well. We do some other things too. We have a nice I don't know where I got it. It was a big, large, probably a 3-foot circle of mint. So we do mint out there too, and that's also a nice one to make, mint tea or anything. We do a lot of different things. One of the things that I like to do is find uses for the plants that we have, like fig trees. I have about 100 different varieties of fig trees, and you can make fig leaf tea, and that's another thing that we do. You take those leaves, So take the leaves in, you can dry them, and you can make fig leaf tea just like you do, lemon basil or mint.
Any other herbal tea.
Yeah.
Wow.
What does it taste like?
It's a unique flavor, the fig leaf tea. So it's hard to describe. You just have to try it.
Okay. I want to get Sandy in here too, but yesterday I made some blue butterfly pea tea with the grandbaby. And that was the first time that we had done that. And it was delicious. It was really
did it come out blue? Is that the one that comes out blue?
It was blue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blue. And then
cool.
It was a dual homeschool science experiment because we were able to go. She picked the flowers. She's 9. She went and picked the flowers. We boiled the water and seeped it, turned blue, added a little lemon juice to mine because she wasn't crazy about that. Added some honey and it changes color. So it was the pH balance was different and it made us, you learn a little bit and have a big time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So, do you have lemon basil in your crown and your herbs? I know you have herbs just sprinkled like fairy all over the place.
I do have lemon basil, and I love any herb that has a lemon flavor to it anyway. And there's a lot of different herbs that have it. Mm-hmm. So, maybe in your soil, your weather, you can't grow basil, but you could grow a different kind of maybe lemon balm or something else that you could use. Because I think that because a lot of herbs are perennials, that first year, the plant is pretty small. The second year, it really kind of blossoms. But by that third year, if it's a perennial, it is amazing. You can just harvest so much, and you can take parts of the plant off, give to other people. You can cut it by the roots, or you can just cut the branches of the herb and root them in water. It's just amazing what herbs can do for you.
It is. It really is.
So true.
And so, John and Sarah, do you guys make other things other than tea? My main thing with herbs really is drying it and making tea. I have made some tinctures. but I have never made a salve or a lotion or something like that. Do you do that?
It's on our to-do list. We
I'm glad
definitely
you
want
mentioned
to get into that more.
Yeah, there's, we have all kinds of things. We're converting about a half an acre of Bermuda grass into our garden. And one of the things that we want to do is put those things that we can use all over the place. Like one of the big things is comfrey. I want to make a comfrey salve. We haven't done that yet, but we've got the comfrey growing. Just all kinds of different things that we want to do with it. Obviously, you can do things for your like spaghetti with your sprinkling herbs all over your meals and things. And we do some of that too.
Yeah.
One of the things that Sarah did, we haven't done so much this year yet, but making fresh salads from the garden. We'll grab some of the flowers from some of those things and put those into our salad. Makes the salad much prettier.
That's right.
And they taste so good.
They do.
They
it's
do.
hard to grow lettuce in the heat here in Texas.
Right.
Well, yeah, I'm getting ready to break out my hydroponic system and grow some lettuce inside because I'm not having any luck outside with the
I was about to say that's what we do here in the Georgia, as it's 102, is we do hydroponically the lettuce inside. But speaking of flowers, not necessarily a herb, but a squash flower, the blossom before it turns into the squash or zucchini, if you stuff it with some herbed cream cheese and then put it in the air fryer, it is probably the most delicious thing I've ever had. And I feel like I have to hold my pinky up when I eat it. I feel very bougie, yeah.
I've never had that
squash flower, please.
Yes.
Right. And there's so many of the flowers that, of course, don't turn into a squash or zucchini. Sandy probably could tell me why that is, but
yeah, the males.
And so I'm going to put them to use. I'm going to stuff them with cheese.
Yeah, and a lot of times, any kind of squash or cucumber, it'll start out with just one type of flower. It's either all male, which usually is, or every once on a vine, it'll be all females at first. And so if you can't cross-pollinate them anyway right then, why not eat them?
Right.
Right.
Like
so true.
When we're making salads, we throw in like nasturtiums. They're kind of peppery tasting. We've put in borscht flowers.
Borage, yeah.
Yeah, they're just fabulous and they're fun. And I like to put them in ice cubes and then put them in my lemonade because it's pretty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, those little borage flowers, the purple, it's a nice touch to whatever you put them in. A lot of people do them into drinks, like you were talking about, and salads, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I know Sarah's one big herb bed got overgrown by a couple of her herbs.
Yeah.
Yarrow and sage.
Yeah.
In 1 year, everything else got crowded out. So they're going to get a haircut this year.
Yeah.
Sandy, you were talking about yarrow. I have never planted it and really need to do that. I wonder if I should wait until it gets a little bit cooler and I may be able to have a fall crop.
Yeah, you could just put the seeds in the ground now.
Okay.
If you can get some plants, it's always faster, But yarrow is one of those things that, like we talked about on the regular podcast, if I can only grow one, it would be yarrow, just because it's so versatile. You can use every bit of the plant. It used to be that they would stuff it in wounds to stop the bleeding. It just is a very versatile plant. When I'm thinking about cooking herbs, one of my favorites is French tarragon.
Oh,
it's very anisey flavor, kind of like licorice kind of flavor. I do like the French better than the Russian. I just think it has a little more flavor, but maybe that's my soils doing that, because your soils, your minerals in your ground can make a difference on how those taste.
That's right.
Yeah. It is interesting too, the different varieties, how you can experiment with them and you get different flavor profiles. It's really amazing, actually. One of the things that I want to get to, we haven't gotten yet, is I want to do some testing with bricks, checking the bricks scale for your plants. And you can do that with your herbs too. And it kind of tells you it gives you an indicator of how well your soil is doing as well by your bricks count.
For produce, it tells you how nutritious they are.
Mhm.
I wonder if for herbs, it would tell you how potent they are.
Huh.
That's an interesting test. We'll have to try that. So that's on my list of things to do.
That's awesome.
You can buy one of those little bricks, handheld ones. Actually, we should put those in our links on our link tree from our Amazon
Good
store
idea.
because they're very handy.
I don't know what they are. What?
So
I was just about to ask.
yeah, so basically it's like a little, almost if you think like a handheld microscope type of thing. It's got a little window, and what you want to do is kind of squish and get the juice of whatever plant you want to test and put that little bit of juice on this little window. You close the window down and you look through it, and inside of the tube you'll see the scale. And I don't know what they go up to. It's like a 0 to 20 or 60 or maybe it's 120.
It's higher.
120. And you look through it, and it tells you, you'll see a line. It's like a horizon, and it'll tell you how much, I guess, the content by looking at one's like a white or blue, and there's a line there, and that tells you what the scale is. So it's really easy to use.
Okay. It does sound like I might actually be able to use that.
Yeah. You just hold it up to the light. You'll see it. It's pretty interesting. We have something that we use something similar like that for measuring honey. So how much moisture is in your honey. So that's
so Ginger is asking, what is that called again?
it's a basic
Refractometer.
Yeah, refractometer is the scientific name. But if you look up bricks, BRIX, and just brick scale, you'll find it on Amazon. They're all over the place. And obviously, if you put a link up on your link tree, they'll be easy to find. And they're only about $20. That's about what they cost, somewhere in there.
Okay, I'm putting it in the chat, but I'm sure I have spelled it wrong, y'all, for the ones that wanted to know what it. I put refractometer, but I'm not sure that's right.
That is exactly right.
Oh, good. Yay. So
Yeah, look at Miss Ann spelling it.
some phonetics here.
So that's perfect.
All right. So I do have, we have basil and green onion tops and celery and parsley that I do pick. And, there we go.
That's it.
Casey's got that up there. That's wonderful. That I do pick or harvest and dry out and save them. That's the best stuff on any of your meals, is to be able to have your own herbs from your own garden, man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
and you can dry them by just hanging them up. I like to dry them in brown paper bags just because I live in a place that's very dusty, and I don't want the dust on my herbs. Sometimes I've dried them in my dehydrator. I've dried them in the oven. But I used to just, as soon as they were dry, I would crunch them all up. And then I was talking to a gal that she's really an herb wonder. And she said, don't break those up until you're actually going to use them.
Oh,
She says the flavor and the oils will stay in there longer. So like when I store them in my jars, it's all these great big basil leaves and different things, depending on the jar. And then I crunch them up and the flavor just gets released. It's just fabulous. So it's just a trick.
I pulverize mine to pieces, and they're in little bitty, sprinkle like herb things you get from the grocery store. I've saved my empty ones and put a piece of masking tape around it and rename it. So that makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that in trying to dry herbs with my dehydrator is older. I don't know about y'all, but it was a gift, and it's from not in the 2000s, maybe not in the 19s. I don't know, but it does dry things a lot. So I was worried that I was, cooking it to death, kind of thing. So John and Sarah, how do you preserve your herbs?
Well, We do have a dehydrator we got from his parents, and it's a really good one. It has temperature control, so we can put that at the lowest setting to dry the herbs. Sometimes I'll hang them, and sometimes I'll just lay them out where they have good air circulation.
Okay.
The dehydrator tends to work the best, and it's definitely the fastest.
Yeah.
But I wonder if with the heat, if it loses a little bit of its medicinal properties doing it that way. So sometimes slower is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And so, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, one of the things we want to get is a freeze dryer at some point, and that's another way to do
Yeah.
that.
Who out here
Same.
wants one?
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's true.
We got a lot of other things to spend money on right now. So
Yeah, us too. So
The one
Sandy,
thing about herbs I was going to say is that, we've had episodes over the past 2 or 3 weeks now on herbs, and there's so many different ways that you can use the herbs. I know, Sarah, you had just mentioned medicinally. What do y'all use your herbs for besides medicinal? You use it for seasoning, you make tea, but what are all the different ways that y'all use your herbs?
Another way that we use them is with our chickens. You can put herbs in their nest box. You can put herbs in their water to give them an immune boost.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a specific recipe that Sarah looked up. We had some chicken, Ace1 chicken that just wasn't doing very well. And so I separated her, but we wanted to make sure that the other chickens had, a nice immune boost, and made basically a tea for the chickens with a bunch of different herbs that we mixed in and let seep, and they had no problem with it, and it kind of helps them make it through the weather and any sickness that might come up.
The recipe is in, I can't remember the exact name, but it's a Homesteader Herbal book.
Okay.
Awesome.
And so, Sandy, we have a question from Karen. Can you see that question that's at the bottom?
Can. She's asking if we can freeze basil and how. You can freeze basil but you have to know that, if you're freezing the entire leaf together, when it unthaws, it's very wilty. It's very, I don't really care for that, doing it that way. I have chopped up basil and added it a little bit of water and frozen them in ice cubes, and then just popped them out. And then, with basil, when you're cooking with it, you should put it in the last 15 minutes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it loses a lot of the flavor. So then I would just, if I was making soup, I would just drop those ice cubes in there.
Okay.
But I just find it, herbs are just so easy to dry, especially in a paper bag. You can just set it in a closet and forget about it until you need them. But there are people that like to freeze things. And so what I've just found, that the ice cube is better than doing the entire leaf.
Okay. So because I haven't had very much luck drying herbs in bags. I tried that, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. It didn't work out. But you just said you could put them in closets and things like that. Is that right?
What I do is, if I have a lot of herbs to dry at one time, I actually get those big lawn bags, that are big, that are paper bags, are real thick.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just poke little holes in them, and I'll send the strings that I tied my herbs in through there and just tie them. I close it up and staple it, and I just set it in a closet. So I have all these different herbs hanging in this great big huge paper bag. Now, here where I live, it is very dry. You have a lot of humidity, and that might be why you have a harder time drying them. And so then you're probably better drying them in a dehydrator or the oven.
Mm-hmm.
They make these tiered herb dryers, and they're just, the air does it. And they have a mesh around the outside. And I think somebody commented that they had one. And
yeah, I think that was Indiana Backyard Gardener said she had a 4-tier herb dryer.
Yeah. And some of them are 3, some of them are 4 tiers. And so you put all these different herbs in there. It has the mesh, so flies and bugs and stuff can't get in them. And they just hang.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then they just dry them.
Yeah, Sarah has hung stuff in our attic before, and I think that might be too hot. We had a guy who do some work for us last week, and he had to go up in our attic. And the poor guy, when he came down, he was just dripping. It was like it must be 200 degrees up there.
I was about to say it's good old southern Texas weather.
Yeah.
I think you have to realize where you live, and you have to choose how you preserve your herbs based on that. You know, because you guys have a lot of humidity on the East Coast. I don't have, you know, if I had 10% humidity, I'd be woohoo! It's humid outside.
Ours is like 95% humidity, maybe 99. I don't know, but it's like a wet, hot blanket that throws over you when you go outside. And so Cheryl wants to know. Go ahead, Casey. You want to read that for us?
I can, yes. My lemon bulb is getting brown spots and turning yellow. What can I do? I freeze dry for tea.
That sounds like it may be an issue with the plant itself. And probably, Sarah, what would you do with that?
You know, I don't know. I would have to have more information. If my lemon balm was turning yellow with brown spots, I would not use that for tea.
Yeah.
I would wait until it had fresh growth and then get the healthy growth to use.
Yeah.
Sometimes when leaves start turning yellow, it could be like a nitrogen deficiency or some other kind of nutrient that it's missing. But when it gets to brown spots, I agree. I wouldn't use it. I would pick all of those kind of leaves off, let it rejuvenate itself. And if it did it again, I would think that there's probably an issue. Without seeing a picture, it's difficult to say, okay, this is what's happening.
Right.
That's right.
But if I was you, I would go to the extension office and say, bring a couple of leaves in and just say, hey, this is what's happening. And maybe that horticulturist will know exactly what's happening.
Well, that's very helpful. You know, most people's extension offices are just a plethora of information. My extension office is Yall. I go on YouTube and say, hey, help me out. You've been there and done that. So John and Sarah, before we close out today, what is one of your very favorite herbs and that you have been able to find? We know Sandy's is yarrow. I was curious of yours, of what kind of herb, if you could only grow one or two, which would be your first pick? And that's putting you on the spot, man. I mean, I'm just like shoveling it right out there and going, oops.
That is such a hard decision because I love herbs in cooking and they add so much flavor. Yeah. And I love the lemon basil tea. I don't know that I could just choose one.
Yeah, okay. We grow so many different things that, you know, and they all have different things, the different uses that we use them for, mostly for the teas and for food seasonings now. But there are so many different things and so many other uses that we want to get to and be able to share those. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel because we're going to share all that stuff.
You know, that's my research. That's my ag office right there. So
you know, that's one of the things. We had a garden tour come through a couple months ago, and we got one of the best compliments. One of the older ladies came by and she says, "You all have a teaching garden." And that's really our part. And that's what we really want. We want to be able to teach and share the things that we learn. So that was, you know, that's one of the things that we look for.
Well, that's awesome. What a compliment. So Casey, unfortunately, our time has run short here today.
It is about that time, y'all. And we want to say again, a huge thank you to John and Sarah for joining us again for a second episode. We always look forward to hanging out with them and sucking up some of their knowledge as they spew it out on the podcast. And we thank y'all, everyone in the chat, for coming in. We have so much fun doing these Friday radio shows and y'all coming in and spending some of your time with us. So we thank you for that. Make sure that you head over and check out John and Sarah at their YouTube. I know their link has been dropped multiple times in all of the chat. So y'all go over, show some love. Definitely head over to the Around the Hay Bale YouTube because
Woohoo,
that
the coffee
beautiful
cup.
mug right there, you could win once we hit 500 subscribers. So y'all go over, share the page with people you think would enjoy this type of topics and content. And we will see everyone next Friday on another episode. We're going to be talking about tilling. We're talking about tilling next week on the live show. So you won't want to miss that. So until next Friday, bye y'all. Bye y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Are you enjoying the Hay Bale topics? To learn more, click on our Linktree link to get all of our product recommendations, along with discount codes and more.
Hey, Monica, did you know it's now even easier to listen to Around the Hay Bale podcast?
What? Really? How easy?
That's right. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Round the Hay Bale podcast.
Playing Round the Hay Bale podcast on Apple Music.
Ooh, we're really fancy now.
Tune in to Round the Hay Bale every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time.
We're back.
And now live every Friday.
With new topics and a new time.
Don't forget, a new host.
Yay, that's right. Sandy joins the panel for Hey Y'all Hey radio show.
Now, on Fridays at 11 a.m. Central.
We'll see y'all there.